Hello there! Today we'll be taking a look at this 501st Clone Troopers Battle Pack and comparing it to the more recent 332nd Ahsoka's Clone Trooper Battle Pack. And I'll be explaining why these two go great together, especially if you're trying to build your 501st armies. Stick around also for the end. We'll be taking a look at all the minifigures, the new 2020 clone printing, all the way up to this August set, and in my whole collection I'm only missing one of these phase 2 new clone troopers. But that will come later in the video. Let's get right into building this battle pack. And as you can see, we have finished with the minifigures now, and we do have some spare pieces such as this backpack piece, which is a really cool accessory to get spare as it is a printed on 1x1 tile. And we also have a few of the other accessories such as this visor, which is really useful for any of us trying to make an Umbara mock to put on any of the other clones. And we also have a load of these rangefinders and visors that come in this nice blue, which would be really nice for other 501st clones when we get some more with helmet holes. As you can see, the original 501st that we all have plenty of doesn't have any helmet holes, so this is pretty useless for the extra accessories. However, it's really cool to get extra pieces, especially the printed 1x1 tile, and for my first 501st battle pack I added that to another one of my clones, and it's probably the same I'll do here, as all you need is an extra backpack piece, and all of these clones are actually resemblant of a Battlefront counterpart. If I pick up this specialist here, you can see his sniper in his hand. He resembles a specialist on Battlefront 2, which of course has the sniper, and it's really cool that we get another battle pack like this. If you've played Battlefront 2, you'll know what I mean, and the character does resemble not exactly what they're like in the game, but very much what a 501st specialist would look like. I'll leave an image up on the screen just so you can compare how similar they are, and even the weapons that these clones have match what they'd have in the game. If we take a look at this officer now, we can see he's holding a pistol just like he would in the game. Even this heavy clone trooper looks like both the heavy and the assault classes in Battlefront 2. I'll leave a picture of both of them up, as they're both very similar, especially with the weapons they have, and is a nice addition to a battle pack. Now of course this isn't the first time we've got a battle pack that's a reference of Battlefront 2, as we did get Inferno Squadron in its own battle pack. However, getting these specialist clones is a very nice addition, especially as these can be used in army building, unlike the Inferno Squadron that was a one-off set, and these are very nice to get, especially as there's no commanders or captains, which means these can mass an army, as there's no limit to how many of each you can have in your collection. Now, I don't critique Lego sets a lot, but this tile here that the trooper's meant to be sat on isn't the best part of the set, as if I pick up this officer here without knocking him apart, let me just fix this, but if I sit this officer on the tank just like so, you can see he sits on fine until you decide to perhaps turn him over or wiggle him about and swoosh him around, and he falls just like so. And even if you're swishing him around, just moving him on the table, he might stay on the seat. However, he does move back, and if you do this enough, he will fall off. As you can see, there is no studs holding him on. And perhaps what I would have preferred from this set is them to take off this front piece and just put a 2x1 plate, which would enable him to sit on, as there's no exact seat keeping him on, there's no footrest, in universe and would have just been nice to get him securely in place. So what I'm building here is the legs for the little gun turret that we get, the side build that comes with it, and I've just gone ahead and checked. All 4 legs are identical. However, in the instructions they make you build 2 at a time, perhaps so they can display on screen where the legs are attached, as you're unable to get all 4 legs in one image clearly. However, I think that even a 6-year-old, as the set is 6+, would be able to see that all 4 legs are attached to the current build. So it was an odd choice by LEGO to divide them into pairs. Another complaint with the legs is that they are held on by these hinge pieces, and that means that they are quite loose and can move around. I would have much preferred fixed legs, or even legs that just went straight. As it is only a side build, I didn't have to look too good, as most people will end up just parting this out and not displaying it with the other clone troopers. If you are going to be parting out this set, there is plenty of bracket pieces just on this central bit here, so you can keep that in mind when you buy this set. How they've worked this gun mount here is really interesting, as you just slot it into these modified black plates just like so, and it allows for a bit of movability up and down, enabling you to hit targets that are close and further away. And that is it for the side build. Now, as you saw earlier on, you are able to mount a clone trooper, and it does look pretty neat. However, I just think there were so many other builds that could have been made instead of this one, especially like a command station or some other sort of Clone Wars vehicles that we see pop up, especially when this set is part of the 20 years of the Clone Wars. Now, as it's 23, I assume this is in reference to the Tartakovsky show that was originally aired in 2003, being 20 years ago, which was built from that reference in Attack of the Clones. And it would have been nice even to see some build from Battlefront, such as one of the mini vehicles, the tanks or speeders, or even one of the walkers that we get to play in the game. However, it's really nice to be getting all these battle packs, and hopefully it's not just for 20 years of Clone Wars, but hopefully this continues and we get to see at least one battle pack coming next year. I know we've got one rumoured to contain another 4 clones, and that's meant to be much heavier on the droids, hopefully coming with 3 regular droids and perhaps even 3 B2 battle droids, because that would be really nice to pick up, even if they whack it back at the old 501st battle pack price of 30 quid. All the extra pieces they can use in builds means we can possibly get some STAPs, hopefully another clone vehicle, such as a reworked walker, or even a smaller, closer to minifigure scale speeder that we haven't really got in any set so far. As you can see just down here, we have a few nice spare pieces, such as the officer's gun, another binocular piece which is used in not only the clones' guns but other Star Wars weapons, such as the ones the Dark Troopers use. We also get one of these grey pieces, which I think looks like a comm, which can be used by these troopers or in other sets. We get a 1x1 red tile, a yellow stud with a hole in, which is very nice for mock building, and then we get 2 Technic pieces, which I'm not too much a fan of, but I'm sure they'll come in handy in the future. Again, like I said at the start, we get a few extra accessories for the clone troopers. The main one being this backpack, which I'll definitely add to another one of my clone troopers, especially if I'm recreating a Clone Wars scene as so many of these backpacks were worn during the start of the Clone Wars. But overall, it's not a bad set, especially for the price. It's great that we're getting some of these battle packs again, and especially with all the minifigures. At least we don't have a Jedi with this pack, which they usually do. If you remember the battle pack from a few years ago that came with 2 Jedi, Ki-Adi-Mundi and Barriss Offee I think it was, and 2 clones. It's much nicer getting 4 clones in a battle pack, as it does allow for some army building. And even though these are all named units, they can all fit in to a wider army. And most of the 501st specialised in something anyway, so for the 501st unit, these don't look too out of the ordinary and will look great on any of your custom mocks, or even displayed on a shelf with the other Clone Wars sets. Now, when we're comparing it to the 332nd Clone Trooper Battle Pack, you can see on the side of the box this battle pack is also part of the 20 years of Clone Wars, which I had not realised when I did my review on it last week. However, it does come with what I think is a slightly nicer build in this Swamp Speeder. Again, we don't see it in Season 7 of the Clone Wars. However, it can just as easily be swapped out, some 501st troopers in there, and be placed on another mock from another time. And we also get 4 of these 332nd Clone Troopers with the regular 501st torsos and legs for all of them except for this Captain Vaughn minifigure here, who comes with a nice Captain torso with the little Captain emblem on his left pec, and also has this orange visor which can be taken off. However, as he's Captain Vaughn, I'll leave it on for the duration of this video. Now, the first thing I want to compare with both of these is the minifigures. On one hand, you have 3 regular troopers and a captain whom, if you have other 501st minifigures, you can just swap out that torso or cover it with anything you like, and he becomes just another regular clone. Especially if you take off the visor, you might not even notice the captain there, so you can buy as many of these as you want and you have a load of 332nd regular clones. However, the 501st Battle Pack are all specialised units. Again, I don't mind because they're all Battlefront specialised units, so it makes sense to have a few of these dotted around, as well as the regular clones, perhaps reinforcing, or some snipers camped out on a mountainside somewhere looking down at the enemy, which of course are battle droids. It would have been nice to get some battle droids in here, especially as they're not usually classed as minifigures, such as this fighter tank. If we got 2 minifigures instead of the battle droids, this would have been a lot higher in price, and they go towards more so the piece count, as they do take up 6 pieces when they're holding a weapon. But the fact we didn't get droids with this does mean they come a lot cheaper, as I'm sure that they would have added many more pieces, making a bigger build, and just like this fighter tank over here, charged nearly double what these were, just for a few droids and extra pieces. I definitely like this much more than the tank we get in the 501st set. I think it just looks like a much sleeker model, whereas this turret just seems to be using up pieces, and I'm not sure they really knew what they wanted to build. As I said, it would have been much nicer to get a smaller walker or a bike that's much more closer to minifigure scale, as the ones we got in the original 501st Battle Pack were way too big to be used in mocks, and even when displayed looked a little odd, as they tended to hide the minifigures. And it would have been great to get a speeder bike, especially as they use the same speeder in the Bad Batch Marauder shuttle for Crosshair, and I just really want a more minifigure scale speeder. Perhaps we'll see what next year brings, and if we get any speeders in the sets, as even if it's not a Clone Wars speeder or a speeder for a clone, and we got, say, Kelleran's speeder in the Grogu Escape, as Mandalorian would have been out for a year and we'd get a few more sets with spoilers from the show. It would be nice to see if they rehashed the design, making it smaller and perhaps selling it with an accompanying build, which would be a great way to get a cooler speeder. Now, one of the main parts of comparing these sets is looking at minifigures you can have if you were to buy both. Now, both of these battle packs, if bought together, are roughly the price of the old 501st Battle Pack. I think it comes to a little bit more. However, you are getting 8 minifigures, and if you were to swap merely the helmets of the 332nd unit with the 501st, you get yourself many more regular 501st Troopers, and not only that, but some specialist 332nd Troopers that you can either keep until you decide to use them, or put them in their own mock if you desire them plain 501st Troopers. Now, the helmets aren't exactly identical to the 501st. As you can see with the Assault and Heavy Troopers, they have some extra black lines on the top, but from afar this isn't noticeable and will blend into all the other clone troopers, and anyone who sees your display will not notice any difference unless they know what they are looking for. This can be done with all 4 troopers, so you can get yourself some specialised 332nd and some more plain 501st. However, I quite like the specialised 501st troopers, so I think I will keep them as so, and enjoy the fact we've got some plain 332nd troopers. More of them in a pack than we got last time with the sole trooper in the AAT. That again didn't show up in the show, but LEGO's using some creativity here to give us some ships we want with the minifigures we want. And I cannot fault them for that, and definitely am enjoying these Clone Wars sets. Now, the only clone trooper I don't have from this new designed clone trooper is the 212th Legion Commander or Airborne Trooper that came in Grievous ship, because overall I thought that set was really expensive. It only come with Kenobi, Grievous and this clone, of which Kenobi and Grievous were already in other sets at the time, and I picked them up for a lot cheaper than buying this set, so really had no need to buy it just for the overpriced ship and this Airborne clone trooper. However, would really like to see it pop up at some time soon, just to complete my clone collection, as it is the only clone I'm missing since the 2020 releases. As you can see, we have the original 501st Battle Pack in the clone and Airborne clone. We have the 332nd from the AAT. We also have the line of Bad Batch minifigures, which use these new moulded helmets and the printing design of their brothers. And in the ATTE last year, of course, we got Commander Cody, some 212th minifigures, and this Phase 2 gunner, which was a cool addition to the set, as I didn't really expect it from a 212 set. Now, of course, they are grouped in their years. We have 2020, 2021, 2022, and now we have a look at all the clones from 2023. It is worth saying that this fighter tank also came out last year in 2022 and does have 187th Legion clone troopers, 2 normal Phase 2 troopers and 187th Legion clone commander alongside Windu with the arm printing. However, I've not got to building that yet and will probably post a review on it shortly, as I do want to complete my collection as much as I can of these clone troopers. So stay tuned when that video comes out and be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss it. Overall, from 2023, I'm really happy with the clone troopers we got, and most of the clone troopers have been Phase 2, which personally, growing up collecting all the Phase 1s is really nice, as I already have an army of Phase 1s and would love to build on these Phase 2s. Next year, hopefully we see a Wolfpack clone set, and I'm really hoping that the Battle Pack that's rumoured to come out does include Wolf and his Wolf Pack, as that would just make a great set, and we do already have the design. If you haven't seen my rumours and releases video from a few weeks ago, this is what the design of Wolfie looks like. It come out in, I think it's the Castaways game. I'm not able to play it, however I do like these designs, and so far we are getting the Phase 2 Rex from it in the new Venator, as well as the Chancellor and Commander Vox in the Coruscant gunship, which images for have just been released, so head to LEGO if you want to check them out. It looks like a really cool set, and I definitely will be picking this up day one. Hopefully I can get to a LEGO store and have a look at all the other sets coming out, as I do want to start branching out from LEGO Star Wars sets, but of course, being mostly a Star Wars channel, this is my focus for now. Now, for those of you who do collect Phase 1s, and I know many people would like to see a few more Phase 1s snuck in, we got the little minifigure pack that was exclusive to LEGO stores that unfortunately I wasn't able to pick up, and we also got the Phase 1 clone lieutenant, I think it was, in last year's advent that I had no idea about, as I was much more focused in the Guardians advent, as it come with all the Guardians from the one advent. Much like this year's advent for Star Wars that's coming with Leia, Palpatine and Omega. which if you haven't picked up many of the dioramas or Cad Bane's ship, it's a very cheap way to pick them up. The Advent only costing £30. And of course the new Vader from the diorama was included in his mech, as well as the Stormtrooper costumes from the Trash Compactor diorama. So LEGO are giving us all these exclusive minifigures for quite cheap. I guess you don't get the Luke from the Throne Room diorama, Cad Bane from the Justifier, and some of the other characters like 3PO and R2 from the Trash Compactor diorama. However, most of these top-notch figures are being given in much cheaper sets, and even this Stormtrooper is meant to be coming out in the next issue of the LEGO Star Wars magazine, so keep an eye out for that, as I will be comparing it to the mech and seeing which one is more worth your money. As for the 501st and 332nd Battle Pack, I definitely recommend the 332nd Battle Pack more than the 501st. However, if you're trying to build your 501st army, do be sure to pick up both, swap the helmets, and then you've got 4 extra clone troopers to add to another scene. Hopefully you enjoyed my review and comparison of the 501st Battle Pack, and fingers crossed we'll see many more of these next year, and hopefully some droids to go with them, as at the start of this year I had enough 501st clone troopers to combat my droid army on a 1-to-1, which isn't quite how it goes in Clone Wars, as the droids always outnumber the clones, but I was happy with. However, now I have so many clone troopers, they definitely outnumber the droids at least 2-to-1, and I really would like a massive droid set to come in the near future. If you enjoy this review, do check out this playlist where you can find other reviews such as the recent Star Wars mechs, and I will be going back and reviewing many more of the older sets for you in the weeks to come. May the Force be with you, always.